What's good, guys? So today we got another video, and this one is quite interesting. Dare I say is a very controversial, spicy title, being is Wuthering Waves looking as greedy as Genshin Impact? And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not up to date with my Genshin Impact lore, so feel free to tell me how greedy Genshin Impact is nowadays. I did hear some rumors that Genshin Impact was rather nasty in its endgame content, in one of its endgame modes, making you need some of the strongest characters and team comps in the game. Now, I don't know how they're going to relate that to Wuwa, because in my opinion, Wuthering Waves is not only one of the most generous and less greedy gacha games out there in terms of these type of games, but it's also one of the easiest games in terms of beating content. So let's go ahead and see what the homie has to say.
For the Hoyoverse dev studio to lock in, it would be right now. Wuthering Waves has been in a little bit of hot water lately, and to me this is the most criticism that I've seen for this title since its launch, when you might as well have been playing this game on a toaster because you couldn't even open the game without being a risk to global warming. The most
Hey bro, I don't know about y'all, but it wasn't that bad. That seems like a little bit of a stretch, bro. Like, I have an old computer, bro, like a 2060 or some shit, some prehistoric type of shit, and the game was not running like a toaster, for me at least. It was running pretty fine. So I don't know what homie was running his game on, but I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
recent story was widely considered to be one of the best we've ever gotten, but it's pretty mid if you have trouble paying attention.
This day might come.
It's pretty mid if you have trouble paying attention. I mean, if you're busy booking your flight to Kurofest, yes, it might be a little bit hard to understand what's going on or pay attention, but for most of us, it's not that big of a problem, because in all reality, the story was pretty linear and pretty easy to understand. The skit, yup.
Even
Oh,
the
no.
honor above all can still make mistakes.
This man put Genocide's audio in the background. Oh no. Honored One? Oh, shots fired, boys. Shots fired. Nah.
So are all of these
That's
recent
crazy.
criticisms for Wuwa valid, and does Genshin look like it's worth playing as a new or
What criticisms for Wuwa? You ain't say shit about criticisms for Wuwa. So are all of these criticisms for Wuwa valid? You ain't say shit about it. All you said was that the story was maybe a little bit hard to understand if you weren't paying attention or something. That's it. I mean, I could throw some actual criticisms. What up with the HP inflation in Whimpering Waste? That's a criticism that we could talk about. Why aren't we getting good skins for our characters constantly? Why are these doo-doo ass events like playing tic-tac-toe so boring? That's criticism. But it ain't even that bad, bro. There's a dry patch. It is what it is. Other than that, Wuwa doing its thing.
returning player? And is Genshin ever gonna give away a free limited 5-star?
Hell nah, bro. They done gave us... What was that character they gave out in Genshin for free when they did a collaboration with... Bro, fuck. Genshin did a collab with another game like 32 years ago, and they gave out a free 5-star that was basically a 3-star. I forgot what it was, bro. It was this chick, bro. Oh, you guys let me know in the comment section, because I completely forgot what it was. But apart from that 3-star hidden as a 5-star, they ain't gonna give nothing. Alloy, there you go. They gave us Alloy. Apart from that, they are not gonna give us an actual good limited 5-star. They might give us some standard banner characters or some shit, but they ain't gonna give us nothing good.
Absolutely not. Unless it's a spending event where you have to buy $10 million worth of items in order to get
This man said $10 million, bro. That's crazy.
something like Venti as the free reward. Kuro has been
The man said Venti, bro. Why he got a dog on Venti, bro? Let's not act like Venti wasn't the GOAT when the game first launched, bro. Come on. I know it's been like 10 years since Genshin came out, or at least it looks like it with those graphics. But I'm not throwing shade at Genshin. I'm sorry. But don't do Venti like that, man. Come on now.
looking a lot like Hoyoverse recently, with the little changes here and there that are enough to raise eyebrows and question the direction Wuwa will steer into. With that,
No, we ain't questioning shit. We are a little concerned regarding HP inflation, But we gotta see what they doing. We gotta wait and see what they doing. And if they do some bullshit and they keep with the HP inflation for no reason, we gonna call them out. And you know what Kuro will do? They will listen. They will actually talk back to us and give us, you know, some good answers to our feedback.
Being said, I do believe that Wuthering Waves is still the best open world gacha in the genre. That's not to
For sure, for sure.
say Genshin hasn't been looking very enticing lately. If you are a casual player, then you're probably gonna be okay with anything that gets implemented into the next region. But
Yo, someone sent me like a story cutscene from the latest story in Genshin Impact, and I was so confused because I thought it looked like at first I didn't know it was Genshin Impact. It was like this scene where they're in like a red field and there's a bunch of like, I think souls, but they're supposed to be NPCs and people, but it looks like a little ghosty figure, like a bunch of little ghosty figures, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be like the souls of people. I didn't understand. All I knew is that for it to be one of the latest story cutscenes, that shit looked ass. I didn't even know it was Genshin when I first saw the little clip they sent me. They're like, what do you think of this? And I was like, it looks like ass. Why? They're like, that's the latest story of Genshin Impact, and people are saying that the Wuwa story is trash. I'm like, nah, you're kidding me. That is not the latest Genshin. That shit looked like it's made out of Play-Doh. What is going on? So maybe there's some context I'm missing, but hey, bro, that story looked like doo-doo.
sadly, Genshin Impact has a horrible track record of avoiding predatory practices, and it just being a gacha game is an awful excuse for it to be openly forcing you to spend money in order to have fun. Considering a lot of Wuthering Waves players happen to be castaways from Genshin, you're worth.
Hey, bro, listen. We can sit down and talk shit about Genshin all we want, but at some point, a lot of us at least played it. I know I played Genshin. I have an S6 child somewhere gathering dust, but at least we played it at some point.
First fear should be Kuro giving in to greed. If you play gacha games, it should be a given that these companies never have your best interest in mind, and I have trouble believing that one of those corporate dogs would spare you $50 if you told them that you were starving on the side of the road.
Bro, what he just said is so much facts, bro. These companies, whether it's Kuro, whether it's Hoyo, they don't care about you as a human being, bro. They don't. They wouldn't waste their time with what you think or gotta say in all reality, bro. At the end of the day, they're companies, they're trying to get the bag. So when I see what the people have named Kuro bots or Hoyo shills arguing and defending these games like their life depended on it, I can't help. Like, you can't look at me dead in the eye and think that and say that those people aren't weird, bro. Like, you can't help but feel bad about those people. They're out here arguing like their life depended on it, on why their game is better than your game and why your game sucks and their game is great. Meanwhile, their game is cheating with the next whale that comes out that is going to give them money. Come on, bro. Stop being a cuck. These games don't care about you. These companies don't care about you. Just play the games. Don't be a fan like that. Don't be a fanatic.
Definitely people who work on the game who love making it and playing it as much as you do, but a company as a whole does not care about your well-being. I care more about your well-being than they do, so that's why I'm going to tell you right now that Kuro will throw away all of that devs listen shit out of the window if I showed them $500 million to throw the game balance into chaos. Now, I may not have 500 million, but if they throw the right characters on banner and make their weapons strong enough, then they could accumulate that type of revenue within a short amount of time and forget about the free-to-play. The chances are, if you happen to be watching this, you're at least a little more than a casual player, if not a very dedicated player in either of these games. When you are that type of player, one of the main things that will get you to stick around in a game with this kind of model is content where you can challenge the limits of your characters. Oh, and of course, as I'm trying to be a little positive about Genshin, they go and completely butcher the most recent Stygian Onslaught reset.
Oh boy. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's the game mode that I've been hearing a lot about, that it's like crazy when it comes to like difficulty if you don't have certain banner units. So I'm guessing that's what he's referring to there.
Mode have a love-hate relationship, just without the love part. Okay, I'll try to think of something positive to say about it.
20 minutes later.
Oh, well, there is the fact that
2 hours
Oh
later.
no.
okay, I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. That's
Is this just a Genshin hate video, bro? Oh no, the Genshin fans are gonna come for my neck, bro. They're gonna be like, oh, he talking shit about Genshin, bro. No, he didn't, bro. You know them Klee lovers are gonna hate on me, bro. Look at his channel. All he does is play Wuwa. He gotta be a Kuro bot. Fuck this guy, dislike. That's what's gonna
right.
happen,
If you
bro.
don't know already, this game mode is pretty much a waste of time unless you have a
Oh,
really
boy.
deep wallet or a lot of time on your hands. Each boss heavily, and I mean heavily, favors the recent units to the point where dupes
yeah.
on the older units don't even matter. The
Oh, that's real bad. I can tell you this. The point in Wuwa where we will not like clear content with old units when duped up is very, very, very far away. I'm telling you like this, if you have a duped up fucking Gion that is the first banner character, you're gonna be taking a dump on whatever content you bring that character in. It don't matter what you bring in a duped Gion a year later, year plus later after the game's launch, you will be absolutely destroying all types of content without a shadow of a doubt. So if we're really talking about Genshin being at the point where older units duped up and everything don't even matter, that's actually insane. I don't think we got to worry about that for a very long time unless they decide to do some ridiculous power creep in a matter of like a couple of months, which they won't.
mechanics are boring to play against because you know they're just there to stall time. And the fact that some are even trying to argue that this Stygian onslaught is worse than the last one is insane. And I can see why, especially if you aren't using Skirk on the second boss. The HP inflation is already enough of a catalyst to get players to wail on units, but then creating lazy, overpowered boss mechanics to force a damage check is too much. We get it, you're gonna spam the lunar reaction characters and lock the reaction triggers behind limited 5 stars. So
Oh,
it doesn't
no.
make it any better that the upcoming Nod Cry artifact sets are going to want you to use Nod Cry characters. And it's
Oh,
blatantly
no.
obvious that the team building within the endgame is just going to be completely dead one day because these new teams will just consist of the last 3 to 4 units that just came out and sometimes Bennett.
Ooh.
Yeah, sure, you
And
can just
sometimes
stop
Bennett.
playing endgame or stop caring about it, but
Crazy Bennett still gets love to this day, bro. All these games always have like a 4-star that just shines bright like a diamond, even years after launch.
that doesn't mean that Hoyo shouldn't be hearing about how lazy they're getting. You don't have to
Oh,
shove
yeah.
it in our faces already. If you want, just make Nod Cry 2 years instead of 1 so you can milk those reactions even longer instead of already shilling it through
Don't give them such evil ideas. Yeah, bro. What are you doing?
Renefa. Having good 4 stars is not enough of an excuse at this point to completely ignore every other aspect that makes an
Visual.
endgame
I
fun.
probably
But
said
don't
her
get me
name
wrong, Wuwa does need to buff their weak 4 stars so that the character pool isn't filled with weak ass characters like Lumi and Tauchi. But their character
Wuwa needs to buff their weak ass 4-stars, add more 4-stars, and buff their standard banner units because, hey, let's be honest, bro. It has been a year, but apart from like 2 to 3 4-star characters, maybe, everything else is straight up garbage. And in the standard banner, while yes, some of the DPSs like Encore and Kalcharo can still do work, we're at the point that they're just, you ain't bringing them to clear most of the end game content. Not because they can't, but because they're so sluggish and it's just a pain. And then you still have Arena, which still sees use, which is great because she's still there. And everything else is just trash. Like, bro, we ain't even gonna talk about Jang Brick, bro. She is just a doo-doo ass character. So definitely buff our standard 5-star characters and our 4-star characters. We definitely need that, especially for the longevity of the game. If we're gonna be with the same as basic 5 stars and 4-star roster another year from now.
designs are fire. I don't know about you, but Genshin needs to stop releasing in-game if this is what they have in mind for future modes, especially because this is actually making it look worse. I actually prefer Imaginarium Theater, so that way I can pretend that the devs actually care about adding a good mode by using my broad imagination. Now, we've all known for a while now that Hoyo has no clue how to design in-game content.
I'm telling you, this is not a Wuthering Waves video. he's probably spoke about Wuwa like one minute out of the entire 5 minutes we've been watching the video. The entirety of the video has been shitting on Genshin. I don't even know Genshin like that, but goddamn.
But recently, Whimpering Waste has looked fairly awful due to
Okay,
the
there we go.
ridiculous levels of HP inflation. Enough to the point where it's reminding me of Gen Shizzle. This mode is already not the most fun for a lot of people because of the scattered enemies requiring characters with grouping mechanics or AoE attacks. But the sudden massive increase in HP and resistance makes this mode a lot worse. On top of that, the tokens, or should I say buffs, are very important, and one token that would at least give a general attack buff or an increase to all elemental damage would be great. But instead we get buffs that look like use the fire team, use for Lova, and use a character that's not even out yet. And
oh boy. Yeah, okay. He did speak facts on that, but at the same time, I gotta be honest, you can still clear Whimpering Waste with characters if you have, you know, the right teams build. And yes, you do require characters that have like grouping or AoE, but it's one of those game modes, just like there are game modes like Tower, where you benefit from having like big, heavy boss nuking units. So I do understand that there was HP inflation, as I mentioned earlier in the video, but you could still clear it, right? And we can't even say that it reminds him of, you know, Genshin Impact, because he said that in Genshin Impact, some of the older units with dupes weren't even doing anything. In this game mode, if you have Gion max duped, you're going to be destroying everything. You're going to be getting a ton of points in every wave with max dupe Gion, probably with a 4-star Mortifi on the fucking team. So we can't even compare fucking apples to oranges. I'm not trying to defend Kuro, because down the line we could be eating shit just like Genshin players are eating shit. The only difference is that us here in, you know, the Wuwa side of things, we don't enjoy eating shit. That's the big difference with, you know, us and the Genshin players. But it's totally different from what he's describing from Genshin Impact. We'll have to see what Kuro does down the line.
Won't be out for at least the next 2 weeks or so. Use for Lova and use a character that's not even out yet, and won't be out for at least the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah,
oh wait, how could I forget that you could use the honored one from the new Federation? So it's not just HP inflation that's become a problem here. It's also all of those other factors on top of this that make this installment of the Wasteland such an issue. If you like Wuwa, this isn't a great look for the future of this endgame mode, nor is it for the tower, even though everything is still okay over there besides the spooky buffs that we received with Zani and Cardathia. If we're not speaking up about issues when they arise and just brush them off because nobody plays Whimpering Waste, then what
do you mean nobody plays Whimpering Waste? Listen, if you're an actual player and you don't play Tower or Whimpering Waste, you're beyond being a casual. Like, you're someone that logs in to do summons every now and then, collect new characters, and then dip. Anybody that actually plays this game and, you know, has an opinion that wants to be heard is playing all these game modes. You can't be out here like, yo, I don't play Whimpering Waste, but Kuro sucks because HP inflation and Whimpering Waste. Like, fuck out of here. If you want your opinion to be validated or have some sort of weight, you at least have to be experiencing these things for yourself to comment on how they're cucking you, right? You can't be like, yo, I heard Billy Bob over there in the corner say that Whimpering Waste is getting HP inflation. I wouldn't know. I don't play it, but if nobody plays Whimpering Waste, those nobodies really shouldn't be talking shit. Everybody else, like us, that really care about it, should be definitely holding Kuro accountable for like crazy HP inflations or mechanics that might seem a little bit predatory. Because at the end of the day, despite, you know, the growth of the game, and despite the fact that yes, enemies have to get stronger and their HP got to get a little bit bigger, we don't need that to happen overnight over one Whimpering Waste to the next, where it's like no HP inflation, then 100% HP inflation on the very next game mode. If y'all gonna give us HP inflation, make that shit gradual, little by little, so we start getting used. Like, if you're gonna fuck me, at least do it slowly and take me out to eat. Don't just raw dog me right off the bat, okay, Kuro? We're just letting you know right now, okay?
It's gonna be whenever the tower is all of a sudden getting over 100% HP inflation.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Wuthering Waves will ever go down the Anefa route, but Phoebe and Chakona were early examples of what could get out of hand. Luckily, Zani was just getting doom posted into oblivion to be made out as useless without the church girl, and Cardathia is so broken that it just doesn't matter. Plus, she was soloing the tower with her weapon on release, but I'm not sure if she can still do that. I don't know. But even Genshin started.
Cardathia is still soloing. Cardathia's strong as shit.
Started off with characters that really loved their best in slot partners like Alhaitham and Nahida and Nuvalet and Farina. Then everything went south when,
Oh shit. Here we go again.
if you
Yo, is that bootleg Augusta? I mean Mavuika?
know
Yeah, she cool.
anything about
She
me,
cool.
I'm the #1 Mawika hater on the planet, and it's not close.
Hey, yo, Mavuika, look, I don't know about their kid, whatever happened when she released, but I'm gonna be honest, she looks pretty cool. I remember when I hadn't played Genshin for years, right? And there was 2 characters that made me want to return to Genshin. The first one was Deya, I think's her name. The dark skin character, because y'all know, if you've been following the channel, anytime I'm playing a gacha and they release a dark skin character, I have to get it. I need to get it. And then I remember I was going to reinstall Genshin, go back to playing everything because Deya looked great. She was, you know, dark skin, light skin. She looked great. And then everybody told me how she was the worst character Genshin had ever released. And it just broke my soul, bro. I thought they had done me dirty. I felt offended and didn't even play the game. And then the second character was Mavuika because she looked amazing. She has a fucking motorcycle. In Genshin Impact, having a motorcycle is crazy to me. Like, where does that even fit in the story? That's so random, dude. And then I just didn't get into it because I was playing Wuwa, the better game. But yeah, let's go.
Because I believe that this was the most toxic character ever added to Genshin Impact.
Oh,
Most
boy.
bad things that have happened since her release can be traced back to her. She's become the
sinks?
model of what Genshin Impact will aim to strive for in their future kit designs. Silali is Mawika's partner, but guess what? It doesn't matter whatsoever because she's the best character in the game. So people brushed it off for the most part, but since then, the pattern began. Skirk needs a Scoffier, and Skirk doesn't have the biker girl strength on her own, and here we are with the Nefa. If you're going to pull Flynn's and even attempt to have fun clearing the endgame content, just go ahead and get her. I know he looks super cool and all that, but he needs his girlfriend, so you have to get her. You can't leave her out of the equation.
Oh,
all
boy.
jokes aside, do not be surprised when every single main DPS in the next region wants their partner more and more, because the trend is getting significantly worse with every character that releases. It's
Okay, so here's my take regarding this, and I'm going to tell you this. This could be a hot take, let me know, but this is just my opinion. These are team building games, so I don't mind when a character becomes that much better with another character. This might be a hot take, right? I don't mind when 2 characters just function so good together that you want to pull both of them. I think that's completely fine. What I don't think is fine is that you can't beat content with other forms of team compositions, right? Like, let's say, for example, in Wuwa terms, let's say you like playing Shangli, right? You can go ahead and get Shangli and pair Shangli up with Brant and pair her up with Lupa. And you have the premium fusion comp, which is ideal. They all work perfectly together. They're amazing. But let's say your name is John and you don't like Brant because you're weird. So you don't want to pull Brant, right? You can still slot in like a Verena. You can still slot in like a Shorekeeper, and you'll clear the same exact content that you would clear with the premium comp. You might not do it as fast or as smooth, but you will still clear the same exact amount of content. And in my opinion, that's how it should be. You should still have the premium teams that you want to pull for that are going to perform way better than the other teams, but the other teams should still be able to clear everything else just the same. Maybe not as fast or as smooth, but still be able to clear it. So I don't have anything against like wanting to pair certain units together because they just work so good. But if you're telling me that if you pull a really busted unit and then you don't get the other unit, they're just going to be absolute trash, that's where we have a little bit of a problem. So I do get that being a little bit of, you know, ass when it comes to it.
going to get to a point where they make you pull for 2 separate characters instead of 1, because we might have seen the peak of greed when it comes to one partner by locking an exclusive reaction behind them. So yes, it is very unfortunate that Kuro has been taking a little too much inspiration from Genshin Impact.
Okay, so right here, I'm guessing he's either referring to 1 or 2 characters. He's either referring to Phoebe, Zani, or he's referring to Cardathia and Siakona. But the reality of it is, like I said, you can run Phoebe and Zani and clear all content, and it's going to be smoother, faster, and better. But you can also run Zani with the free 5-star Spectre Rover and clear all the content. It won't be as smooth, it'll be a lot tougher, but you can still clear all the content in the game with that comp. So while yes, it is a little bit annoying that you're locking, part of the functionality, which from Zani is, working off Spectral Frazzle with other characters because she can't really apply it herself, it's still one of those scenarios where they give us a free character that everybody has, that everybody got duped up and everything, that will still allow you to clear a lot of content. So yes, it's not as bad as Genshin, but we gotta see where it's going. If it's Cardathia, Cardathia applies Arrow Erosion herself, and she still works very well with Arrow Rover. Arrow Rover is not a replacement for Siakona. Siakona is still the best in slot for Cardathia. But if you run Cardathia with like Arrow Rover, and then you slot in like a Shorekeeper, you're still once again clearing all content in the game. Not as smooth, not as fast, but you're still clearing everything. So we're not at the point where you pull one character, and if you don't pull the other character, you're not clearing stuff with that unit. We're not there yet. Hopefully we don't get there for a long time, if ever, but I see where kind of the point he's making takes place. I do see it.
That Kuro has been taking a little too much inspiration from Genshin Impact, but despite this, I still do have hope that at least for the next year or so, the competition will force them back to the drawing board. And this is why I still care so much about what Genshin Impact is doing, because I don't want Kuro to be influenced by Hoyoverse when they see that they're making so much money with such little effort in their character design.
Bro, let's be honest. That's true what he just said. But the thing with it is that there's something, whether it's the COVID buff or the fact that people just have that like Stockholm syndrome when it comes to Genshin. I don't know what it is with Hoyo games, bro. People can't seem to quit despite shit talking them so much. I'm gonna give y'all an example, and this is the perfect fucking example. Do y'all remember Casteris in Honkai Star Rail? We had some of the biggest CCs talking out against Casteris in the global passive. We had CCs talking about they're gonna quit the game. There were some big CCs that indeed stopped playing and making videos for the game. Some of them like Gacha Smack, Tectone, they stopped pretty much playing and covering the game with the whole Casteris and global passive situation. A lot of players were making Reddit posts everywhere talking shit about this and how, Hoyo was a trash company, that they were going to quit the game, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, Casteris releases. Honkai Star Rail makes $100 million on the month Casteris releases. What happened to, I'm going to quit the game because they're doing this? And it's like people at this point, they don't have dignity, they don't have like standards, they don't have like, no, you see, I've spent $500 in this game, so I can't quit. I can't quit, bro. Like they on this shit like some crackheads, bro. Like, if you want something to get better, you gotta show these devs. You can't be like, well, if I quit, it's not really gonna do anything. I'll let other people quit. No, bro, little by little. But we're at the point that people think that their actions won't matter, so they don't do anything, and then it just trickles down. And I don't know what it is, bro, but they don't push for the growth and improvement of Hoyo games. They just put up with whatever Hoyo gives them. And I'm not trying to shit on Hoyo with this. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, once again, I played Genshin for a long time. I have several hundred videos for Genshin Impact on one of my channels. I like the game. At one point, I thought it was the greatest freaking gacha I've ever played. Honkai was great. I played it for a long time. I quit, then came back, played for several more months, and I thought it was really fun. But seeing how the game evolves and how like a unit that I pulled 4 months later is downright doo-doo compared to some of the other ones is crazy to me. And people just don't do their part trying to improve the game. That's the reality of it, bro.
The good news is that if you are a Genshin player, The next upcoming region is probably going to be the most visually pleasing that we've seen yet. On top of that, I'm sure it's going to be really satisfying to finally see a character like Varka, who you've known about since the beginning. But the day that Genshin actually gets a useful quality of life change, you might as well go buy a lottery ticket, because a luckier day may never come. With all of the conversation that has sparked up recently with Wuthering Waves, it's nice to see that the community, despite what some people may think, is speaking up about the mistakes that Kuro has been making. If you are one of those people that thinks the whole Wuthering Waves community is just gonna jump off a cliff if Kuro said so, then I hate to break it to you, but that's not true. Of course there are
yeah, we ain't like that, bro. Like, he's probably about to say, of course there are those die-hard fans that are just absolute crackheads when it comes to these games, and they're just perfect. You know, Kuro shit don't stink, it's flowers. They'll probably eat it on a plate. Most of us, be it content creators, some of the bigger content creators, you know, I'm even gonna put Saint Tontus in here, we'll all hold Kuro accountable when they do some bullshit. We'll call them out. Y'all might say some of the content creators, some of the people are Kuro bots, but we actually drop content criticizing the decisions that Kuro makes that negatively impact the game. I don't really see that with a lot of the bigger CCs when it comes to Genshin Impact or Honkai. I don't know if it's because some of these bigger CCs are under contract or some shit, but they could make horrible decisions out there, and you'll just see them brand new character build, how to build this character. Like, they won't really be out here yapping and trying to, you know, criticize what Hoyo be doing. So don't think on the Kuro side of things we the same. We ain't the same. We built different around here.
diehard fans of the game that will accept anything and everything, but that goes for any video game or any type of media with a large online community. If you think that the Wuwa community is bad, then you would probably hate the One Piece community on TikTok. So Wuthering Waves is
Yeah, some of these anime communities be downright dumb, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I love One Piece, but hey.
still fine until Arknight's Infield comes out, am I right? And Genshin Impact is just always gonna be Genshin Impact. Thank you for watching this far if you have.
Hey, that was a good video, man. It was pretty much a Genshin critique video more than a Wuwa video. He pointed out some Wuwa things, but overall it felt more like a Genshin is doing a bunch of shit video rather than, you know, Wuwa is looking greedy. Very superficial what he touched up on. I think I talked more about what Kuro is doing that's negative than he did, while also simultaneously giving, you know, Kuro its flowers and, you know, yada yada yada. Y'all know that despite me shitting on Genshin, if you even made it to this video as a Genshin fan, because I did throw some slight jabs, I've always given Genshin its flowers for being one of the big pioneers for these type of like open world, like heavy quality gacha, you know, styled games. And with the fact that they released on PC, console, and mobile at the same time, which is a power move that I think they're fucking geniuses for doing, something that a lot of these new gachas don't capitalize as soon as they release. So I've given them their flowers, but like everything in life, there's always room for improvement, and that's going to be it for the video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about Kuro, Genshin, and all these other games in the comment section below. Hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.